wave, I'm referring to the first wave of migrants to the UK. So most people would commonly, Windrush is a shorthand for that. You know, the boat from Jamaica. I mean, Windrush wasn't the only boat that came over, and Windrush didn't have the only people that came over. I mean, there's been migrants to the UK for many, many years, but my particular book is dedicated to the first wave because it is about the first wave. Because at the moment, you know, I'm second generation. You know, my parents were not born in the UK. I was born in the UK. I'm second generation. My children are the third generation. So this book, this poetry collection, is about my parents' journey, and it's mainly about that. And then secondary, it's about their influence on the second generation, which is, you know, what I am. So the way I'm looking at it is a historical document. So young people today, they're into, you know, Stormzy, etc. They're into their grime. You know, that's how they, you know, that's their culture, right? So before grime is where my book comes in. You know, because there's the influence of the Caribbean, and Africa, and then that history can sometimes, I feel, get lost, because if you know, it's all about the now. It's all about the now. Oh, what's the music of now? What's the literature of now? Yeah. So you could always got to remember that the people today, and like myself, yes, I do think of it that way. So that's why in this book I make references to soca singers, calypso singers like Lord Kitchener and Chalk Dust. Now, these are people that my parents are familiar with, but my children have never heard of. So, you know, my son calls me up and says, oh, he's seen Kano at a gig. He's been to see Stormzy at a gig. He's been to see, you know, the latest grime artists, the latest rappers, you know. But my mum and my father, when they were young, they say, oh yeah, they've been to see Chalk Dust. They seem to be Lord Kitchener. Yeah. So it is a case of, if young people read my poetry, they'll go like, who are these people? And then they can investigate, and then they'll hear the link between that music and the music they make. I don't have any direct connection to anybody on that flight. I'm not Jamaican, but there is a shared sense of, for want of a better term, outrage. You know, it's just for instance, the government at the moment in the UK, there are members of the government who have openly admitted to drug use in the past. And when they were doing their hustings for the election just passed, when all this came out, they were saying things like, oh, it's in the past and everybody should be forgiven. So it seems to be there is a double standard. But there's always a case of a double standard with people of the darker hue, too much melanin. There was an author called Harry Harrison, and he had a series called The Stainless Steel Rat. And the Stainless Steel Rat was kind of a fugitive, almost like a James Bond figure. And that really inspired me, because when I was younger, there was very few, if any, black characters in books, in comics, on the TV. Because I grew up as a teenager in the 1980s. So there was very little. So I gravitated towards science fiction. Not really, but what I did learn was that you can create your own universe through words. So that's what I took from that. You know, so when I was growing up, as I said earlier, there was no, hardly any black people on the TV, not many black people shown in magazines, or if they were not necessarily positive. So I then was of the viewpoint, if I didn't see it, then I have to create it myself, which is why I'm a writer.
Where did that come from?
I think it came from, I used to live in a town where we were the only black family. So outside of my parents, there was, and my brother, I was the only black person that I would see. So after a while, you go, right, I'm not seeing myself reflected anywhere around, not on the TV, not in the media. Therefore, if I'm not seeing it and I value myself, then I have to show. Well, a piece I'd like to tell you about, actually, is the cover, which you haven't seen yet. The cover is a picture of my brother, which he is a black belt 7th Dan, represented England in his form of karate. He's retired now, but this picture, it's him with about 5 or 6 medals round his neck, and he's got the British flag on one shoulder, and he's looking intense. So I wanted to put that on the cover because, firstly, he's my brother. Secondly, it is there's poems in the collection about that Olympic style journey that we as black people have to go through in the UK. You've got to go through hurdles. I've got a line which I really like, limbo under fog. It's a case of there's always something, the hurdles that we are given are extraordinary just to try and fit in. And my brother exceeded all these. He's highly qualified as a teacher, and he's a black belt 7th Dan, and he's represented the UK. He was never in the Olympics because his form of karate isn't in the Olympics. They only have Taekwondo. And the thing with karate is there's so many different styles, they can never agree on what the rules are, which is another reason why I wanted to put him on the cover, because, what are the rules? The place I value and treasure the most is my mum's house. Things fantastic. So I'm never going to reach those levels. London? Well, there's a great community atmosphere in that particular area. There's always people that we know passing through, members of our church, family, friends. It's a very welcoming place. Norbury. If you put my name into Google, Dominic Nelson-Ashley, I'm easy to find. My website is djpnelsonashley.com. There you are. I'm on Twitter, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram.